Welcome to Not Your Average Pitch. I'm your host, Sarah Hermina, founder and CEO of Envoyer Public Relations. Whether you're a PR pro, communication connoisseur, journalist, or just an average Joe, this is the place for you. We're covering the latest in media trends, business, startups, news, and more with pros across the industry and beyond. So join us every week as we turn PR into a personal relationship. Today, I had the honor of speaking with Kristine Lilly in celebration of Women's History Month and International Women's Day. I actually struggled to write this introduction based on the number of achievements and accolades that she received, let alone the impact she's had on women's sports inequality. Kristine Lilly is an expert on effective teamwork. She consults with organizations, providing lessons gleaned from her remarkable career as a professional athlete. Kristine played midfielder for the United States women's soccer team for over 23 years. She's an all-time leader in minutes played with 354 games played, 130 scored goals, and 105 assists. Her career includes 5 FIFA Women's World Cups, 3 Olympic Games. She was inducted into the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame in 2012 and the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame in 2014. Before that, she won 4 national championships at the University of North Carolina. Kristine is the co-founder of Team First Soccer Academy that she runs with former teammates and friends Mia Hamm and Tisha Venturi-Hodge. She lives outside of Boston with her husband David and 2 all-star daughters, Sydney and Jordan. Always such a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. So thank you so much for coming on Not Your Average Pitch today.
No problem. I enjoy it.
We were just talking about, how we met through a mutual friend, Kate in Certo. So great. I miss her so much.
Me too.
But yeah, so it's been, I think, probably 10 or 11 years since we first met.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. And I had the honor of interviewing you for my actual, at the time, school newspaper for St. John's, The Torch, interview. And in that interview, I think we ended with the quote, "My kids like my pancakes."
Yes, I saw.
I'll include the little tidbit in this video. But yeah, so I wanted to ask you first off, and I had a few viewers ask, 1, have you perfected that recipe? And 2, what are your favorite go-to pre-game and post-game meals, snacks, that kind of thing?
Right. Well, it's great to reconnect again with you and be here. I think we're always trying to perfect everything. My kids like my pancakes. They also like when my husband makes them. But we've been trying a different recipe, and the kids seem to like this one. So we're just trying to play around because obviously, as your mom, you're starting to read more things that are better for the kids and what not to put in things and all that stuff. So we're trying to do that. So they still like them. My pre-game kind of go-to was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And with the national team, if we had a night game, we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we had 3 meals. So you just felt like all you did was eat and sit around waiting for the game. But there's always like chicken and a pasta and a veggie. And then pretty much 2 hours or hour, peanut butter and jelly sandwich would be my go-to.
Do you like Uncrustables at all, or just the old school?
Well, I probably do like the Uncrustables. I just probably think they're not very good for me. Like if I can make it at home by myself, but I make my kids, my daughter likes peanut butter and Nutella, but we cut the crust off. Because I don't like the crust, so I cut it, and they don't like it either. So
that's tricky business over at your house.
Yes.
A lot of different.
Maybe we call it high maintenance, or what we like, we like.
Hey, you like what you like. I don't know which it is. No, it's quality right there. Yeah. So I had to get that question out of the way because that was a burning question. Yeah. I had about like 3 or 4 people when I told them I was speaking with you. You have to find out what she eats before and after a game. So.
Yeah. I didn't even get to after a game. Shoot, back in the day, after the game was just like they usually had bagels or whatnot. But now for me, after I work out, I usually have a smoothie. Nice. That's my go-to now. Good healthy smoothie. Yeah.
I love good nutrient dense, power smoothie. That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So it is such an honor, like I said, to have you on the show today for Women's History Month, for International Women's Day. So I want to ask you, I mean, you came onto this national team at 16 years old and you basically saw it through. I mean, you have your book says all of the stats and we'll get to it in just a second, but what is the biggest change that you've seen and how far do we still have to go in terms of equality, whether that's equal pay? And you're getting into a lot of thicker issues here, but what would you say?
Well, I would say, we're in a better place we were when I started. So that's a huge plus. And I think that we have to look at that. You always got to look to see where you've come. Because if you're just looking within the years, you're like, well, we should have this when we didn't have anything then. So it's definitely improved. And I think even the girls fighting now are fighting a different fight. Our fight was just to get paid. Now their fight is to have more equal pay. So it's just a different comparison, but fighting for the same thing, our rights as women to have the same opportunity and a pay that is somewhat, equal or deservable, whatever it may be, something. So I think we're in a better place. And I think if you saw this World Cup in 2019 in France, it was the biggest stage. It's the biggest stage for soccer, the World Cup, but then also it had the most teams, they had 24 teams. And that's the most they've had for the women's side in the World Cup since they started in 91. So that's huge. And now in this next World Cup 2023 in Australia and New Zealand, they're going to have 32 teams. So those are starting to make ways to being equal, not just in pay, but in other things. And other things we look at for equality is also travel, uniforms, doctors, masseuses. Where were we missing the equal part of that? So I think we've made huge waves in that. I'm not tied in with the national team to know exactly what they're fighting for and what they're getting now, but I know it's a lot better and closer to the men's side on a lot of things. So I think we're moving along great, and I think the dialogue is the one area that we could just start to change a bit, and that's just treating people the same way. The way we talk about things. Everyone's like, well, what about women's sports? I'm like, well, instead of saying that, say, hey, did you see that game? So there's different ways we could talk about the game of soccer or women's sports in general to help it continue to grow and not make it such a, oh, it's women's sports. It's a more positive look at it.
And before we go any further, I have to acknowledge and celebrate your newest book, Powerhouse. I made sure I ordered it. I read it. I have little chunks just highlighted and marked, flagged.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But I absolutely loved how it was dedicated to Tony DeCicco. For those of you who don't know, Tony DeCicco did an incredible amount of work, not only in advancing the women's game, but I feel like you can't talk about soccer without mentioning his name too. And there are just, like I said, so many takeaways from this book. If you haven't ordered it or read it, you have to. Just in how it's written, people from all different backgrounds. You have Dr. John Gillis. Am I pronouncing his last name correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, just the psychology in looking at mental toughness, visualization, all of that. But basically, how Tony was able to shape the game and advance the women's side. I just have to acknowledge that.
No, Tony was amazing, and I think you can't think about women's soccer without thinking about him, specifically women's soccer. But he played himself, and he was just a good guy. He was like your dad, and he just cared about the game. He cared about us winning, but he cared about us a lot about us, about people. And he grew up. He had 4 boys, so for him and his wife, Diane, we were the extended family of about 20 something girls. So he had a lot of kids. And we miss him every day. I think about it. I miss his involvement in my life and also in the soccer world.
Absolutely. And I mentioned to you, I had the pleasure and the honor of interviewing him for my master's project when I was back at Columbia, and he spoke about Title IX issues. And, we still have a long ways to go, even in public schools. And everything he said was just so spot on, even today. But he, one thing I really remember about him is that extra care that he took. I remember seeing him the second time at another coaching event, and he remembered me by name. And he gave me a big hug. He said, "How you doing?" And I just really think that speaks to the person that he was, and the type of care that he took in each person that he invested in, because he viewed it as, an
Yeah.
investment to the game. So
No, totally. That's great. You have a memory of him. That's fabulous.
one memory on the field from your career that I remember is how you saved that goal. I believe it was 99 in China.
Yeah.
With the off the line. You saved it
Hmm.
with a header.
Yes,
You
correct.
described it beautifully in Dare to Dream. Again, for those of you who haven't seen the documentary, incredible documentary.
Yeah,
I was
shoot.
13 watching it and I cried.
It's awesome.
But how much does visualization would you, and the mental toughness aspect that you
Yeah.
describe in the book, how much does that play into not only your career, obviously, but what you do
Yeah.
every day?
Well, I think, when you look at things like the goal line save in '99, that's where I was supposed to be. It wasn't a fluke that I was there. It was part of, what we've trained, what Tony um, did for us in practice. It wasn't just going through like, oh, we got to just play and do this. We would practice our corner kicks, offense, defense. We'd practice being up a goal and down a goal. We'd practice every scenario you could possibly go to on a game, just so when it happens in a World Cup, you're not stressed. You're like, okay, we've trained this. We know what we need to do, and we do it. And my job was to be on the post, and I've been there. I mean, I had 23-year career, 354 games, and probably 345 of those games I was probably on that post. I mean, the beginning, who knows what we had in the beginning where I was, but that was my job. And I think maybe one other time I might have saved the ball off a line, just like clearing it. So I think it's so important to know what, first off, what your job is. Second, to make sure you can do it as well as you can every time you step out there. And the third thing is just it matters. It absolutely matters. Everything you do matters. So whether you're on the sideline cheering your teammates on and on the field, it makes a difference. And if you don't do that, you don't know how it may affect the starting group. So we all need to know our role, and do it well, and that everything we do matters. And I think that's what my Powerhouse. There's so many elements in that go over why the U.S. national team was successful and still is, because we do all these things. And different one of my teammates are featured in each chapter that help us highlight that, the importance of that, and mentality and visualization is all part of that as well.
No, absolutely. And there are some, the foreword is written by Mia, very
Hmm.
appropriate forward. But
I didn't even think of that. That's even funnier.
I was thinking that, I was like, oh, how appropriate. Because I think she also has a book called, no, that's Abby.
That's
Abby
Abby.
does
Yeah,
forward, yeah.
that's Abby.
But how funny though. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely, you're so right. It matters. I think
Yeah.
that is the biggest thing. It's, so much of what we do, especially in soccer, is so routine, and because it can become mundane, but you have to remember, okay, this does matter. Every moment matters. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think what's neat now for me. I mean, I'm a fan of the national team, but also my girls are. So I have two girls that are 12 and 9, and they're huge, fans of the U.S. team. I mean, mommy played, and they're like, so what? I love Roosevelt, Alex, and
now
all
it's
of,
cool, right?
like it's all the Sam Ewis, all these other ones. So for me now, it's great to sit down and have them watch with me, and we cheer on the team, and we watched the most. I think we saw all 3 games. Um, and they just look great. It's just fun to see the talent out there, these young players coming in, and then the veterans, taking care of stuff on the field and continue to promote the game and grow the game. And so it's been fun to have the She Believes Cup. I'm bummed. I wish we had this when we played. We always were traveling to Portugal and China to play. I mean, to have a
No.
hosted tournament is so much fun to have it here in the States. So
Oh.
I think it's hopefully a lot of fun for the girls too.
I'm sure I would have loved to have something like that to show up and watch. So
Right? Yeah,
it was
totally
always a
fun.
blast showing up to
Yeah.
watch you guys. So, but yeah, that's so awesome that you can do that together. I know Alex is in your book too. I know she has
Hmm.
a little excerpt, which was super cool. Can you tell me about, like, what was it like to pass that number 13 on to the next generation? And obviously it's an influential number.
When I made the national team, I just got stuck with 13. I was one of the young ones. You just took whatever you got. They're like, here. I'm like, okay. So 13 became, just my number, and it's in our house now. Everything's about 13. And then obviously when I retire, you leave, and someone's going to fulfill and take over wearing that jersey. And I think Alex has done a great job. I mean, her commitment to the game on the field and the growth she has off the field with the game and aspects outside of soccer has been so great for her. So it's wonderful to see, and hopefully she keeps wearing it as long as she can, and then we'll see who the next one will come in and wear that jersey as well, and hopefully continue to make the impacts that number 13 has been made.
So in Dare to Dream, you tell the
Mhm.
story about how you came back from that 99 World Cup, from being world champions, thinking,
Mm,
okay, this is a big deal. I remember,
right.
I think you said this is supposed to be a big deal. You come back to the airport and there may be one or two reporters there and maybe some family and friends. How did the media play a role then, and how does it play a role now in
Mm,
what you
yeah.
are and we're trying to achieve?
Yeah, well, I think the comment I made was from the 91 World Cup, so from the first World Cup in China. So that was the very first World Cup for the women's soccer, and they didn't call it the World FIFA World Cup. They called it the M&M Cup because FIFA wasn't sure if it was going to be a success or not, so they didn't want to put that label on, which is another thing we're talking about. I'm like, hello, come on. So that's in 91, and then after we win it, we come back, and there was a few reporters in New York to greet us. And we were all like, what? We thought we knew we just did this incredible thing. It didn't change how we felt and how proud we were and that we were world champions, but we were just so bummed that more people didn't know about it. So then hop to the 96 Olympics. The 96 Olympics really was like a springboard to 99 World Cup. 96 Olympics, all these female events, track and field, synchronized swimming, softball, us, I'm trying to think of the other one, just dominated, one gold medal. So they were just almost kind of labeled it the female Olympics because all the female sports for the US did so well. And that's when kind of Mia become the face of women's soccer in the US. And then you go to 99 World Cup. And then when 40 million people watched the final, we were all over the place on David Letterman and all over magazines. So that was really like a big big push for women's soccer. And I mean that in a way where, society recognized us. And then also women and girls just wanted to play soccer. Over 40 young girls. So it kind of changed the growth of the game. And then now you look at 2019 or 2015 first, the World Cup, and then they have a ticket tape parade. And all these wonderful things continue to happen. So it's definitely a progression, and to be a part of it from the very beginning and to see it now is really kind of neat. And you appreciate every step of it. And now to see even more, it's great to see. But there's a lot of work to be done. The amount of attention to women's sports needs to continue to grow, and put it out there, because once it's out there, people, for whatever reason, if it's in the media, people believe it and want to. So I think we need it out there so people becomes coffee talk. It's just common talk instead of an education course about women's sports.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Thank you. And you kind of answered my next question in that. I was going to ask, what would you like to see, or what needs to be done in your opinion? What are our next steps to achieve that equality?
Yeah, I think they're just, the big part is getting it on TV and having these, business deals with the NWSL. I think needs to be more in the media. I think it needs to be on the mainstream channels, and I think they've grown to that. I mean, the fact that the NWSL is in a season is incredible. That means our league's sustaining and they're doing things that are right, and they're getting the talent to play there as well. So I think you just need to get on TV. We need to have more sports on TV. We need to know, like in the Premier League, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're going to have big games. On Saturday, Sunday, there are games. So you need to have that routine, just like the NFL has football on Sundays. And that becomes common knowledge and common thought process here. And I think we can grow that for women's sports in some way will really make a difference. What I've learned playing soccer is, obviously you learn a lot about the game, but also what I appreciate and take away from the game is the people. So I was fortunate to play with some of the best soccer people on the national level, on the US team, and then also in college. And two of my teammates at UNC at North Carolina and on the national team were Mia Hamm and Tish Venturini. And Mia I played with 17 years with, and I think Tish we played about 10 years together on the national team. And they're good friends, but we also created a business together, a Team First Soccer Academy. And I think we're going on our 11th year. And it's basically, we travel around the country teaching the game of soccer. And I think, okay, you're teaching soccer, but I think what's really neat about it is it's us three and our other teammate, Ange Kelly, who's a coach at University of Texas. And then our whole entire staff is all female that we bring. And then the only male on our staff right now is one of our staff members' son, Bryce, who's 21. He's in college, and Carrie Sanchez played with us at North Carolina. So everyone that's on our staff is somehow connected. Former players of Ange, teammates of ours. And the passion and love we have from the game, from Mia, Tish, and I, just comes out in different ways. And the fun we have when we're teaching the kids, like we're teaching, like, you need to do this, 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 and then we're laughing and showing them that you can have a good time and play, and give these kids just some confidence and feel better when they leave us. They feel better. And that's really what we hope, that these kids just feel a little more empowered of who they are, and that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to get out of your comfort zone and try new things. So I'm really proud about this business that we have together. And selfishly, we started it not only to teach, but we wanted to see each other. So think about 10 years, 17 years of, I would see Mia every month.
Well,
And then she retires, and I'm like, I don't get to see her anymore. So, we did this to selfishly be able to connect with each other, but also, what else can we do to help the game grow? And this is what we came up with, Team First Soccer Academy. And we travel all around. We've been to Alaska, we've been to Iraq, and we've been all over the U.S. and California, to New Jersey, to Texas. So it's really something that we really love and enjoy.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I remember, growing up and wanting to go to that camp every year. So I'm sure that was a fun thing for even your daughters to experience too. Like,
Yeah, the fun is all of us have kids, and most of us have girls, so they all come and do the camp. So it's a win-win for all of us, and our husbands get time to themselves.
Well, that sounds like so much fun, and such an awesome endeavor in business. And how many years did you say you've been? You said 7?
We're doing on our 11th. We started in 2010, and then started going on our 11th year.
Wow. Well, congratulations. Yeah. That's huge.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now, are you doing it this year? Is COVID?
We scheduled for one. We do this one overnight that we've done for 8 years in Boston, outside of Boston, Berkshire Soccer Academy. So we have that scheduled for June right now. So that's a go. And then we're just trying to see how we can organize some more. So last year was quiet, which is unfortunate, but hopefully this year we can sneak some in.
Well, if you ever want a guest player, I'm happy to come.
Oh, we love that.
I don't know how good I'll be anymore, but I'm happy to try.
That's all right. If you can make kids have some fun, you're good.
All right. That sounds like a blast. I know
Kate. And Crazy Kate does them. Yeah, Crazy Kate.
Exactly.
One of our staff members. So.
She was the perfect. When was the last time she was out? We'll have to have a reunion.
Yeah, our last camp we did was in December of 2019.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll have to have a little reunion.
Yeah. So that was fun. Yeah.
Sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it was absolutely a pleasure catching up with you, and thank you for taking the time to, talk about women's soccer and women's equality overall, and just celebrate. Like we said, we can't talk about women and celebrating women without this team. So if you haven't read Powerhouse, go find it, go read it. It's on Amazon. And thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.